My name is Rebecca Mitchell. I never thought I'd be sharing this story about how 3 days changed everything. How fasting brought the miracle I needed. After 15 years of marriage and countless prayers for a child, I was at my breaking point. Living in suburban Chicago, working as a high school teacher, trying to keep my faith alive, while my heart was slowly dying. Each month brought new hope and fresh disappointment. The calendar became my enemy, marking time in tears and tests. My husband David stood by me through every failed treatment, every negative result, every shattered dream. But even his love couldn't fill the emptiness inside me, the void that grew larger with each passing year. I watched my students graduate and move on, some becoming mothers themselves, while my arms remained empty. Church became difficult. Baby dedications were torture. Mother's Day was agony. I sat in the back row, trying to hide my tears, as others celebrated what I couldn't have, what seemed so natural for everyone but me. The doctors had no answers. Everything looked normal, yet nothing worked. We tried everything modern medicine offered, spent our savings on treatments and procedures. Each failure cut deeper than the one before. I began avoiding friends who were expecting. Their joy was my pain, their blessing my curse. The nursery at home remained empty and closed, a shrine to broken dreams and unanswered prayers. I couldn't bear to look at the yellow walls we'd painted with hope so many years ago. My prayers became desperate, sometimes angry, sometimes broken, but always longing for what seemed impossible. Then one night changed everything. It was after midnight. I couldn't sleep again, tossing in sheets wet with tears, when I felt God's presence, stronger than ever before. A whisper in my heart. Do the Esther fast. I knew about this fast. 3 days without food or water. Like Queen Esther before meeting her impossible situation. The thought terrified me. How could I manage? Teaching all day, without sustenance. But the whisper persisted, gentle yet firm, calling me to trust beyond my understanding. I got up quietly, not wanting to wake David, and went to our study, where my Bible waited. Opening to Esther, I read her story again, of courage and faith. In desperate times, her words jumped out. Fast for me. Do not eat or drink. For 3 days. Tears fell on the pages, as I realized this was my moment to trust completely. I had tried everything else, used all my resources, exhausted every option, except total surrender. The next morning, I told David my plan. He looked concerned, but supported me. I spent that day preparing, reading scripture, praying for strength, planning my schedule. The fast would begin Sunday at sunset, ending Wednesday night. If I could make it, I informed my principal. Took sick days off, knowing I couldn't teach in such a state. That Sunday evening, I ate my last meal, savoring each bite, knowing what lay ahead. As the sun set, I knelt by our bed and surrendered everything to the God who sees. The first day began with morning prayer. Different somehow, more focused, more real. Without food or water to distract me, I felt God's presence more intensely. Hours crawled by as my body protested the lack of sustenance it was used to. But something was happening in my spirit, a strength emerging I didn't recognize. By evening, my mouth was dry, my head ached, but my heart was full. I spent hours in our study, reading Psalms, finding comfort. David checked on me, bringing encouragement, though he couldn't fully understand my journey. That first night, Sleep came fitfully, as my body adjusted to its empty state. But peace filled me, unlike anything I'd known before. In all my struggles, the second day dawned with new challenges. My body felt weak, but my spirit stronger. Each step was an effort, each movement deliberate, as I conserved energy for what lay ahead. The hunger had changed from sharp pain to a dull ache that wouldn't leave. But thirst was harder, my throat so dry, every breath rough, like desert wind. I stayed in our room most of that day, moving between bed and prayer chair. Reading scripture became my water, each verse quenching a deeper thirst. David brought me a warm blanket when chills came in afternoon hours, his touch gentle, his words few, understanding somehow this sacred space. By evening, weakness overtook me. I could barely stand without swaying, but something was shifting in my spirit, a breaking happening deep within. Years of bitterness began melting away as I lay helpless before my God. Control, my constant friend, started slipping through weakened fingers into stronger hands. I saw my struggle in new light now, not as punishment, but preparation. Every tear shed, every hope deferred, had led me here, to this surrender. The night brought dreams of flowing waters and fertile fields, promise of spring. I woke frequently to pray and praise, finding strength in weakness. The third day came with supernatural peace. My body was spent, but my spirit soared. Hours passed in sweet communion as I poured out my heart to God. No more bargaining, no more demands, just pure surrender to His perfect will. I saw my empty womb not as curse, but as canvas for His power. The closed nursery, no longer tomb, but cocoon of transformation. Every negative test, every failed treatment, had stripped away my self-reliance. Now in complete weakness, I found His strength. In total emptiness, His fullness came. Afternoon brought a holy moment. As I knelt weeping by my bed, a vision filled my heart with hope of holding a child in my arms. Not just any child, but one specific face, smiling up at me with knowing eyes. The image stayed, burning bright in my spirit, like living flame, as sunset approached. On that third day, peace flooded me beyond understanding. I knew something had fundamentally changed, not just in body, but in spirit. The fast ended as it began, with quiet prayer and total trust. David brought water and simple food, but I was already filled with living bread. That night I slept, deep and peaceful, dreams filled with promise and hope. The next morning, everything looked different. Colors brighter, sounds clearer, my spirit lighter than it had been in 15 years of waiting. I returned to teaching with new strength, seeing my students through different eyes. The pain of childlessness no longer defined me. I was complete in His love alone. Weeks passed in sweet communion as I continued to trust and wait. Then one morning, everything changed. 2 lines appeared on a simple test. I stared in wonder at what seemed impossible, now made real by sovereign grace. Calling David, my voice shaking, we held each other in tearful joy. The miracle we sought had come at last, not by our strength, but through surrender. The pregnancy progressed, with each day a gift each moment precious, beyond words. But God wasn't finished. With His miracles, more blessings waited. Around the corner, at 12 weeks, the ultrasound revealed not one heartbeat, but two, twins growing strong within my womb. Double blessing, double grace. David and I wept in the doctor's office as we watched two lives dance. The technician smiled, understanding somehow the weight of joy. In that moment, news spread quickly through our church. Our miracle story, touching hearts. Others struggling with infertility began asking questions about the fast. I shared openly about those 3 days of complete surrender and God's faithfulness. Small groups formed of women waiting, praying together, supporting each other. The nursery door finally opened as we prepared for 2 babies. Yellow walls brightened with fresh paint. 2 cribs assembled with grateful hearts. Each tiny outfit, each small sock, a testimony to God's perfect timing. My students celebrated with handmade cards and precious gifts. For the twins, the whole school seemed to share in our miracle. Our joy multiplied. At 7 months, another surprise came. A call from a realtor about a house perfect for our family, just 3 blocks away, with a garden and room to grow. The price seemed beyond our means, but God provided in unexpected ways. An inheritance arrived from a distant aunt, exactly the amount we needed. Moving day came just weeks before. The twins were due. Perfect timing. The new nursery, twice the size of the old one, filled with light. Every detail seemed orchestrated by divine hand for His glory. Then early one morning, labor began. Our waiting ended. Joy arrived. Hannah Grace and Sarah Faith, born 5 minutes apart, perfect and strong. 2 miracle babies, testament to God's faithfulness and perfect plan. The hospital room, filled with flowers and grateful tears and answered prayers. 15 years of waiting ended in double blessing, double praise. Our story spread through the community, encouraging others to trust and wait. Support groups grew for infertile couples. Finding Hope, Indiana. Our testimony, the Esther fast, became a beacon of hope for others. In their waiting, we saw more miracles, more testimonies of God's faithfulness to those who trust. Our twins grew into beautiful reminders that nothing is impossible with God. Each milestone, each first step, each spoken word, a precious gift. Their different personalities emerged day by day. Hannah the bold one, Sarah the gentle soul. Together they showed God's perfect plan in making us wait for His best time. The closed nursery of painful years became story of hope for others waiting. We never forgot those 3 days of complete surrender. That changed everything. Each year on that date, we remember and celebrate God's faithfulness and perfect timing. Our testimony continues to touch lives as we share hope with others waiting for their miracle, for their breakthrough, for their answer from a faithful God. Yendi.